So Nintendo just broke the internet in a weird way with their brand new game announcement that I have not seen happen in recent memory. We are talking about a M-rated horror-themed game getting officially revealed, or teased I should say, with a 15-second trailer that is extremely creepy, extremely cryptic, and there's a ton of different theories flying around online about what this project actually is. Is it a brand new IP? Is it a mysterious thing called Project M that we know Bloober Team to be working on? Could this be the return of a classic IP like an Eternal Darkness or Fatal Frame? And that's what this is all about. We're going to try to unpack all the different theories in this video. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to first talk about this Bloober Team connection because there is definitely, I would say, something to be pointed out here with this conversation, although there are some online saying, well, this has already been discredited. It's maybe not going to be Bloober Team, and that's not the studio that's related to this. I don't think it can necessarily be proven one way or another, unless if you buy into one particular quote-unquote insider that seems to have gotten some things right, but not enough has come to fruition for me to be a totally 100% on board with them. Not to mention, we don't have accounts around like Pioro and Midori anymore, so not a lot of super credible tier 1 names out there being floated around revealing additional details of Nintendo announcements at the moment, which kind of feeds into some of the speculation. But first, I do want to again talk about the Bloober Team connection, which, if you're not familiar with Bloober Team, they don't have the best reputation online. I mean, they've been involved with a number of different games over the years. Blair Witch Project, Layers of Fear, Silent Hill 2 is being developed right now by them for the PlayStation 5, but they're known for kind of simpler games, very budget based. People don't seem to be too happy with the story from Bloober Team games overall, and you know, I'm not the biggest survival horror or horror game fan to begin with, whether that come to movies or games for that matter. So for me personally, I can't speak to their quality, but I do think that there's definitely at least one interesting connection to lead me to maybe say that it's plausible that that's what's going on here, as far as this being potentially something called Project M. As you can first see kind of a collection of tweets by an individual over on X, which reads, as pointed out by Polygon and on Reddit, Bloober Team has previously teased something called Project M with Nintendo. The assets on the sites are all prefixed with M, so yeah, that would be my best bet too. With the first snippet reading, MEO might also be a project from Bloober Team, developer of the Silent Hill 2 remake and Layers of Fear series. Bloober said in 2023 it was working on a new game codenamed Project M with studio Draw Distance that was being developed for Nintendo platforms. Draw Distance has since been removed from the project, which is now being worked on by Bloober Team under a subsidiary known as Broken Mirror Games. That subsidiary has just one post on social media, a message of congratulations to Nintendo that also includes a piece of mysterious concept art. Now there's also a breakdown and some quotes from an interview where it says, Project M, although its budget is significantly smaller than the games we are working on at Bloober Team, is extremely important due to our long-term plans. In addition, we are working on it in cooperation with the world's best game creators for Nintendo platforms, so we cannot afford to just create a decent game, Bloober Team CEO told the publication. Then if you inspect the code on the official Japanese website for this game, you do have the following lines of code, which reads like asset/video/M, that's repeated multiple times, and then image/M. Like, you get the idea. There is definitely the letter M being used there. Again, this is not confirmation that that is what this is, but there's definitely some connections. And then Broken Mirror Games, and then you have the one tweet from Broken Mirror Games which says, congratulations Nintendo for 100 million consoles. And if you look at the kind of concept art of some sort in question here that they've tweeted out, it's definitely a creepier looking game. Doesn't look exactly like the trailer that we saw for MEO, but nonetheless, there could be some correlations there. Although you do have to ask, would Nintendo at their scale publish a game, you know, with a subsidiary from Bloober Team games like Broken Mirror Games is claimed to be? Like, it is on the smaller side of a studio that we would maybe see Nintendo work with for a first party published game from them. So we really don't know exactly what this will ultimately entail when it releases, but then we also got some updates that went up after the trailer went live, and this was later last night, so you may not have seen this particular part, but there was a rating that went up out of Australia that outlines the following: strong themes contains violent suicide references / themes, cruelty, and domestic abuse is what the rating in Australia is actually outlining here. That is all new info that wasn't included in any of the previous ratings we've seen. I've also seen some theories online suggesting that, well, if this game's been rated, it's probably right around the corner from dropping. Not necessarily the case with Nintendo games. We definitely see them sometimes a year or more a game gets rated and before it's ultimately released. Like, they definitely handle things a little bit differently than other companies in that respect. But I would, if I was personally speculating and talking about when we might see this thing drop, I could see them maybe lining it up with an October release, kind of around that Halloween time frame, and they potentially just put out additional trailers that are just kind of creepy like this. There's going to be maybe a drip feed marketing campaign for Who is Emio, just continuing to kind of be talked about in the news cycle. Now, in case if you missed it on any other videos covering this online, the kanji at the end of the trailer that you see apparently translates to smiling man, and there's some little details that have been pointed out around the different looking expressions on the paper bag, and obviously like strange thin lanky hand that is shown off from the individual. Like, definitely a creepy trailer. I mean, it's not in Nintendo's wheelhouse to reveal games like this. I've also seen some dialogue around why would Nintendo not just reveal this at their June Nintendo Direct, and some theories around that consist of, you know, maybe this being a rated M game that is very much targeted towards a horror audience. They don't want to have to disclose that there's some sensitive content in the Direct, so they choose to do it separately. I also just think this could be a really smart way for Nintendo to tease a new IP, or just have something that's cooking in the background, like a big return for one, or this big Project M, whatever it is. They want to get creative with it and lean into the horror element and have people really speculating upon all the different possibilities for this game, and that feeds into word of mouth, which is ultimately getting people talking, and that is a very effective way to market a game and potentially sell additional units. And when it comes to the idea of it maybe being a return to Fatal Frame, like, that is in the realm of possibility, although I don't know that I'm necessarily sold on one idea more than the other. I mean, we did have Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater release on Nintendo Switch a couple years back, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not super into that series, or really any of the series myself. I mean, Eternal Darkness, I've seen some stuff online about that game, and that was a Nintendo published M-rated game, definitely with a darker theme around it. So who knows if this is something entirely new, a brand new IP. Nintendo's going to continue to tease it. We find out this is Mario's missing brother, and we have some kind of morbid sick crossover with Mario walking into M-rated survival horror games. I don't think it's that, but Nintendo could be doing something very out of the box and different, and it's really fun and exciting to actually theorize and talk about what this could be, because as I mentioned, this is out of Nintendo's wheelhouse, and in my opinion, it's definitely drum up a lot of talk online. I'm seeing a lot of different theories, and that ultimately is exciting to me. So who is Emio? What is your idea of this game so far with that very cryptic 15-second trailer we've seen so far? What do you make of the new rating information that we have on the game? Do you think it is indeed Project M from Bloober Team, or do you think that this is something entirely separate? And if you had to go out on a limb and speculate or predict what it actually is, what do you make of it personally? And I'll lastly close out by saying there is some talk about if this is like a cross-generational or Nintendo Switch 2 title. If it was Project M, they said Nintendo platforms. That could also just mean like the Nintendo Switch family of systems, kind of like we've seen the Pokemon Company do that, where it says it's coming to the Nintendo Switch systems instead of just saying system, and it gets people talking. That's definitely a possibility that it is a cross-gen game, but I think with when we're learning about this and not knowing about the next-gen system, I would be surprised if we're talking about this being like a later into 2025 game. I actually think that this is more likely a fall 2024 game. So if I had to put my money on if it's Switch 2 related or not, I'm gonna say no for now, but nothing's for sure with Nintendo at the end of the day. Let me know in the comments down below what you hope we ultimately see this game launch as, and whether or not you'd prefer it to be a brand new IP or a return of a classic one. So thanks so much for watching the video today, everyone. Make sure you share all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below before you leave, regardless if we agree or disagree. Also, make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.